mean, it has done all that it can from an economic point of view at this point. What I think they have not done all what they can is to stop the disease. This is a health crisis followed by an economic crisis. So my biggest fear is that we're going to have something that resembles a second wave in the fall, and this is going to derail any economic policies we put in place.
And yet, they have vowed, I understand, not to have such a severe lockdown as we previously saw across Europe as well, perhaps tempering the need to keep the economy motoring along, albeit with a price of further infections. Mortalities, though, as we know, thankfully, are far less now because we're far better at coping with this as well. It's going to be a very tough equation, but do you anticipate that the French economy will actually come out of this better than others peers in Europe, or will it suffer worse?
I mean, I think everyone is going in sync. It's hard to see winners or losers here. The French suffered more than others in the last quarter, in the second quarter of 2020, because they took strictest measures of a lockdown. Now, going forward, I think I agree, we're not going to see a full-blown lockdown again, but I think we're going to see things that resemble like partial lockdowns. Partial in some sectors for sure. Some sectors are not going to come back to normal soon. And partial could be in some regions and some cities that go into something that resembles a lockdown. And there, I think the countries that manage the disease better will be in a better economic positions. Those who suffer a higher number of infections are likely to suffer more as well from an economic point of view.
In terms of looking at the performance of the French president, regardless, and if we can, I know it's very hard to do so, but if we were to put COVID to one side and say, apart from that, has the president lived up to expectations? And Tony, I and the rest of the team at CNBC were on the ground at the French presidential elections in 2017. There was an enormous amount of hope for change at both a party level and a societal level as well. How would you say the president is doing and has done?
I mean, I think he has done well. I think you have to take into account that any president of France has in the past had a hard time passing through reforms, as we all know well, any of us who know France well. So obviously he has not done as much as he thought he would do. He has not done as much as he would promise, but certainly I think he's moved the dial on some of the key reforms that France needs. And obviously COVID has stopped a lot of those reforms. But I think if you look at the years where he's been president, I think he's managed to move some of the areas in which France was lagging behind. Of course, they're still far from where they should be or where Macron would like them to be. But again, compared to previous presidents, I think he has been a fairly effective one.